Namaste, everyone. This is Pandit Hardat, wishing all of you a very blessed day. Welcome to Simply Explained, and today we'll be discussing a very interesting topic on Hinduism. With me is my son, Bhuvan. Hey, Bhuvan.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, you?
I'm doing pretty well today.
I think it's going to be an exciting debate. Exciting discussion, rather. I don't want us to debate about this because one of the things we're going to talk about, actually, the thing that we're going to talk about is marijuana. And, it is considered a drug to many, it is considered an intoxicant to many. And more so, really, we're going to discuss its placement and its purpose in this, in this whole, world that we live in. There's a certain level of misunderstanding of what it is, and more so from a religious perspective as well.
And I know a lot of people, they always associate marijuana to Bhagwan Shiva, and they always say that he smokes marijuana and he drinks bhang and he does all these like drugs that we consider to be today. And a lot of Hindus think that since Bhagwan Shiva does it, then they think that it's okay for them to do it because he's God is doing it, so it's fine for us because then it'll be good for us.
Yeah, and I think that's what we want to talk about today because the world today associate marijuana with Hinduism. There is no doubt about that. Hindus, especially, they have a misunderstanding about marijuana, its use with Lord Shiva. So definitely, I want to talk about that today. Now, let me first of all tackle this. This is we are simply explaining things here, and I want people to understand this discussion as simple as possible. So we have to break it down as simple as possible to them. So marijuana. Let's look at it from a scriptural perspective, because I'm a Hindu and this show is about Hindu discussions. So I will give my opinion and all that, but I think that it's important as well to understand this from a scriptural perspective. Marijuana, there is a mention of the marijuana in our scriptures. So Atharva Veda mentions marijuana. The Bhava Prakasha mentions marijuana, and many others. For the purpose of putting this to rest today or simply explaining it, I like to quote one verse from the Bhava Prakasha. What does it say? Bhanga kapahari tikta grahini pachini laghu tikshnoshni pitala moha mandavagya vinardhani. This is from Bhava Prakasha. What it does here, it explains that they are 5 different herbs or 5 different leaves. Pancharajani virudha somasrishtani vrumamaha. Among them is called bhanga, which comes from the word bhajyate. Bhanga, which means to break. Bhajyate means to break. Now, what are they talking about here? And this, before we even give our opinions and all that, let's explain what the scripture intent, like the rishis and the saints, is what their intent was for this bhang. So bhang or bhanga means to break. And breaking in this case means the breaking of tension, the breaking of pain. So we experience pains of all kinds. We experience physical pain,
Emotional and like different types of pain, physical, emotion, all these different events that could affect you in some way that we consider that to be pain.
Absolutely. So what the rishis have done, they've come up with 5 different herbs that say use these herbs as a gateway to actually remove or create a bhanga or create a break between the pain and the body itself.
And I guess that's where that's why people say how like smoking drugs or like smoking marijuana or weed, how they say that how it helps to make you relaxed and how it like brings you out of the moment and like you enter like a new experience.
Well, absolutely, but we have to understand that the intent of Hinduism here is to use marijuana as a medicine, right? The source says bhanga, which means to break your pains away from you, for you to experience your true self and not the pains.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people like misunderstand how how marijuana can be a medicine, because they don't really. People say that it can be a medicine, but they don't understand how it's used as a medicine. Like they think that when you're smoking it, that itself is using it as a medicine, and I guess they use that as as an excuse for them to be allowed to be smoking marijuana.
Right. So let's look at the medicinal benefit of marijuana.
Mhm.
I don't think this is a secret to many people. So bhanga, as it is called, with that which breaks, the emotions and the pains away from the experience,
Mhm.
in the scriptures is called jati phaladi churna, which means, from a medicinal purposes, it enhances respiratory and digestive functions. It, of course, is great for appetite. It's great for libido. It's great for many other things. I don't think the medicinal purpose of marijuana is disputed today. I certainly don't do that. Doctors, physicians, researchers, none of them have ever disputed the medicinal purpose of marijuana.
But I feel like nowadays people disregard the medicinal purposes, and they just use it as an excuse so that they're allowed to smoke it, which I don't think is really right.
Absolutely. You see, the thing is, anything that gives you a kick. Now, you can take a cough medication
Hmm.
and have a certain experience, right? A cough medication, when you drink it, most of it puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
So what happens, instead of using it to actually putting yourself to sleep because of the cough, people sometimes say, they feel a little swing in the head, they feel a
Mhm.
little experience. So even when the cough is not there, they use the medicine for that experience.
Yeah.
And the same here is with marijuana. So marijuana, as it relates to Hinduism, let's talk about this, because this is the question you asked me,
Yeah.
right? About Hinduism. So it is mentioned in the Atharva Veda that Pancha Rajaniti Virudham Sarmashtesthani Bhrumamaha Darbho Bhange Yava Saha Teno Munchantu Amsaha. So Darbho,
Mhm.
Bhango, these are the herbs they mention. Why is it associated with Lord Shiva?
That's the question that I really want to be answered, because a lot of everyone who talks about marijuana in Hinduism, they always relate it to Bhagwan Shiva, and I don't know why. Maybe because they think that he drinks bhang, and bhang is maybe considered to be like an intoxicant, or something like that.
Well, the question is, does Lord Shiva even drink bhang?
That's yeah.
Right? Does
Because
he-
like I don't think I've really seen anywhere in the scriptures where he drinks bhang.
but you see it on videos.
Yeah.
And that is what is deceptive to the eyes.
And
because-
that's all people are looking for now these days.
Absolutely. They are deceptive to the eyes, because a video is made. And when a video is made, people see it, right? And they say, look at that. Lord Shiva is drinking bhang. He's smoking marijuana. So, and everybody else around him, they are mad. This is called drama,
Yeah.
right? And drama, when created in a certain way, it gets people's attention. So, why is it associated with Lord Shiva? Lord Shiva is the Lord of medicine,
Mhm.
right? He's a Lord of medicine. So, his specific association with this drug, or with this herb, he's called Vaidyanath. That's the exact name Lord Shiva is given. Vaidyanath. Vaidya means the doctor, or the medicine, rather. So he's the Lord of medicines. Marijuana is a medicine like many other herbs are.
Mhm.
Right. In fact, in the ancient times, when modern medicine did not exist, Hinduism actually has documented through Susrata, who's a legend, the first surgeon on this earth.
Mhm.
They have documented how herbs were used to heal, to cure, people at that time. I mean, in Ramayana, look at that Ramayana, when Lakshmana was shot, right?
Yeah. Hanumanji had to go he had to go fly and get the Sanjeevani, but he couldn't find it, so he just had to bring the whole mountain. But like back then, they Hindus still had medicine, and they still had ways to heal people.
Absolutely. So what happened here is that herbs were the way, right? Herbs were the way
To heal people.
to heal people. Lord Shiva is called Vaidyanath, which means he's the Lord of medicines, Lord of all healing, which includes this herb called marijuana,
Mhm.
right? It's a leaf, it's an herb.
Yeah.
So what happens here is that this association of marijuana with Lord Shiva, that he is he favors marijuana, or he favors the herb, is totally misunderstanding by the West, and
Yeah.
even by Hindus who look at these videos, because they see Lord Shiva putting some kind of bhang over his mouth and drinking it. Also, even in India, people will say that, so what happened? They have this done in India, and why can't we do it? And is our understanding wrong? Well, your understanding is based on a video that you're seeing,
Yeah.
right? And that video that you're seeing,
Who knows where they got that information from?
absolutely. Now, from a spiritual perspective, we have to look at our association with God as an intoxication, right? Anyone who is truly into spirituality, into religion, into prayers, into Shiva, into Krishna, they become intoxicated at some point without consuming anything. Right, you go to some like the Hare Krishna folks, for example, you see them dancing on the road, dancing in satsang, they are dancing in train station.
Because they're like so into it. Their mind is just on Bhagwan Krishna and nothing else.
Absolutely, without any external stimulants.
And I think that's the part where people are getting confused with Bhagwan Shiva and how he becomes intoxicated or anything like that, because he's not like using anything external. He's just in the moment, I guess.
Absolutely. So, excuse me. What happens here is that they associate this herb with Shivji because they think because the Lord governs all herbs, then He governs marijuana as well. So, to put a cap on this, to say, hey, marijuana is an herb. It is mentioned in the Atharva Veda as a medicine, and only as a medicine. It is not mentioned as anything that can be misused. The fact is, if you misuse any medicine,
it'll do harm to you.
It'll do harm to you. And intoxication is a harm in many sense. Because when one is intoxicated, they are not in their senses. They are not in full control of themselves.
It's whenever they use that medicine for the wrong purpose.
Absolutely. And medicines can be used for the wrong purpose.
Because let's say you're using marijuana as a medicine, right? And you have a certain condition that needs medicinal marijuana to help treat it, and so that you can heal yourself. But once you start using it in like the wrong way, or you're using it when you're not supposed to be using it, then it can do more harm than good to you.
Absolutely. Now this thing here, marijuana is actually, in India, for example, marijuana grows on the streets.
Yeah, it grows all over the place.
It grows in people's yard. It grows
like you see it everywhere sometimes.
Everywhere especially in the villages, for example.
Rishikesh and Haridwar, that place has a lot.
Yeah, has a lot. You've been there. You saw that. In people's yard, they go and they can pick it, and nobody troubles you. Nobody misuses it there. So it grows like weed. It grows really literally like weed.
Yeah.
And that's where this thing came from, the word weed. Right? The word weed came because it grew like weed, and it still grows like weed in some places. It is a harmless herb, obviously, if you use it the right way. In the scriptures, they talk about the Shuddhi process, like the Bhuta Shuddhi, the Pancha Bhuta Shuddhi process, that it is used, the drug is used after cleansing. You have to be in a state of mind and physical state as well to use it in order to not have any impacts or effects on you, right? So in those places, it is used as, a medicine. People actually crush it together, put it under, sometimes they cook a little bit with it. But when we actually start to bundle it up and put it in something and smoking it, that is when marijuana becomes dangerous. Now, the thing is, that Canada has actually legalized marijuana.
They legalized like smoking it recreationally.
Recreationally. So let's talk about that, because we have to understand that there are two things in life. There is the physical aspect of life, the business side of life, and there is the moral side of life. And if you are following any spiritual path or any religious path, you have to have some ground of morals. You have to have some ground of morals. To smoke marijuana as a recreational drug, which means to just put it in a pipe and to smoke it in order to just get high, that is not medicinal. That is having nothing to do and just wants to get high using something external.
Yeah.
Right. So whether the government of Canada, it's a huge income from them, because instead of it illegally being sold and them not getting any part of the share, they're actually getting a big part of the taxes right now, because they are the main people selling this thing.
Mhm.
So it's legalized in Canada. So you can only have a certain amount in your possession, obviously. But to use it as a recreational drug, now that's where the question is. Because what happens, marijuana, as we know, it is what we call a gateway drug.
Yeah, we learned about this in school where marijuana is like one of those drugs where it's a gateway and it's in the name. It basically opens the gate to many other drugs that you can get addicted to and it can really mess you up.
It is a gateway. So what happens? You use it, and then the kick comes,
Mhm.
and then the question becomes, so if marijuana has this amount of kick
Mhm.
in it,
Imagine how much more
something
this certain drug has compared to marijuana. Imagine like how much more I guess high you can become. Would that be the term?
that would be the term, right? Because you always, it is the nature of people to always have a desire to have
Something more bigger, something
a
better.
higher exactly a higher
Oh,
experience,
no.
a higher experience. So marijuana is giving you this high experience. What else can I do to get a higher experience than that?
Or what can I do to amplify it?
To amplify it, absolutely.
Mhm.
And the same from a spiritual perspective as well. You're meditating and you have a certain experience. What else can I do to enhance this experience that I
Exactly.
have? Right. So that is the whole thing why we call it a gateway drug, because it really opens the gate for other things to happen.
Mhm.
What happened as well is that since it has become legalized as well, and
Yeah.
it is known for a medicine, we can perceive this thing as smoking it, because that's what a lot of people say. I'm smoking it because it helps me to deal with a certain amount of pain.
And I think that's what most people think of when they're told that marijuana is a medicine. But I don't think they really know that when you're smoking it, that's not how you use it as a medicine.
That's not the medicinal
That's the way how it does more harm to you. Like we learned this about like in school, like how if kids like my age or maybe even younger, if they start like smoking drugs and stuff like that, then what happens? Their brains are not fully developed, so that all the the chemicals and stuff that are in the drug and the additional stuff that they put in it all like messes up your brain. So that when your brain starts to develop and as you start like I guess turning into an adult, then your brain just becomes messed up and then it can't really be like fully functional. And they're being told that that marijuana is a medicine when if you're using it in that way, it's not.
Yeah. Well, even medicine these days is subjective because, sometimes loneliness can be a disease. Depression can be a disease, and there are so many things that people so many excuses will make to actually use this drug. I think let's look at it and conclude it this way. From a Hindu perspective, Hinduism does not badmouth or desecrate or speak low for marijuana, right? We are acknowledging that marijuana has its presence. It's called a soma. It's something that produces a certain experience in life, but it is used and recommended to be used as a medicine, and it has hundreds, if not thousands, of healing attributes in it. But what comes with that as well is an experience that is, when you use it, it comes with a certain level of addiction. And as a Hindu, now, if I should ask you, or someone should ask me, Pandit Hardat, will you use marijuana, yes or no? The answer is, if I have a sickness
that requires
the use
the use of marijuana in order to be healed, then
and marijuana is a medicine, then
Yeah.
I will use it. Certainly not as a smoking ingredient.
And I think that's the part where people, I guess, misunderstand marijuana in Hinduism because they see that marijuana is associated with Hinduism in some way. But the thing is, in Hinduism, it only says marijuana. It only mentions it as a medicine and nothing else. But just because they see the word marijuana in our scriptures, then they start, I guess, jumping to conclusions and
Absolutely.
all this other stuff.
Absolutely.
They think that just because it's marijuana, just because marijuana is associated with Hinduism, then they think that look at Hinduism, they're promoting smoking marijuana, which that's not the case at all.
Yeah, so it isn't. Hinduism does not promote marijuana. We acknowledge it as a drug. As a matter of fact, we have used it as a drug. Hinduism is not associated with Lord Shiva. I
You mean
want to,
marijuana?
sorry, marijuana is not associated with Lord Shiva.
Hmm.
I want to really emphasize in that marijuana is not associated with Lord Shiva, and if as a drug, or as something that is going to destroy people. It is associated as a medicine. Bhagwan Shiv is called Vaidyanath, and he, including marijuana, he accesses it, and for healing purposes. And that is all there is to this. To go and to drink bhang in the street and to smoke ganja in the street and claim that you're Shiva Bhakta,
That's just wrong.
it is just wrong. It is not allowed. It is not permitted. So I hope and pray that we have a better understanding about how this thing is related to Hinduism. And the question is, will you use marijuana? Yes or no? The answer is you do not use it for recreational purposes. You use it as a drug, something that can heal you.
And even if, and yeah,
Yeah, and even if you're pressured by people,
hmm,
right? To show that, listen, this thing can make you have a different experience. If you were experiencing, happiness and pleasures of life in some way already, there is no need, friends, to take anything external. Hinduism has believed always and has always promoted, and there is so much science around this, that every experience that we need, we can generate it from within.
hmm,
A divine experience, a happy experience, a blissful experience, every experience we need, we can actually, get it from within. And that includes happiness. So no need to actually take any external stimulant for happiness and for pleasures. Just look at this as a drug that can heal a number of genuine diseases in our life. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And if you think you like this discussion, just hit the subscribe button so that we can bring you these videos whenever we make them. And also visit, of course, our Facebook page for the temple, Bhavani Shankar Mandir, and myself, and for all the updated information that we have.
and also don't forget to follow us on Spotify. This podcast is actually going to be on Spotify, so once this video is published, then we'll put the link to it in the description, so you guys can go to Spotify and download this podcast. Follow us on Spotify and be informed when we're gonna post a new podcast
Absolutely.
episode.
Thank you all very much. Namaste.
Namaste.